Being at Aissatou Smile Cisse, we can at the Ministry of Information and Communication, at U Building, 8th floor. We can cover the press briefing where the Ministry of Information and Communication can get every Thursday at the Ministry Conference Room. We're going to start the Ministry Conference Room now as the press conference starts.
Let me now invite the Honorable Deputy Minister of Information and Communication, as usual, to give us the updates today and to introduce our guest speaker.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our weekly press briefing here at the Ministry of Information. As always, we start with the update for the week. And so I'll start with what happened on Thursday, the 27th of June 2019. The outgoing British High Commissioner to Sierra Leone, Guy Warrington, bidded farewell to His Excellency President Dr. Julius Maada Bio at State House. Mr. Guy Warrington has been assigned to Mali. On Saturday, 29th June 2019, His Excellency President Dr. Julius Maada Bio has urged colleagues at the 55th Ordinary Session of the Economic Community of West African States ECOWAS, Authority of Heads of State and Governments, to take action on corruption. President Bio said that public probity and accountability are not optional to good governance, and they cannot afford to continue to see corruption as a minor inconvenience to ignore just because the thieves may be their own countrymen. He further noted that as leaders, an adequate response to corruption on such a massive scale is not just perfunctory expression of discomfort, seeing their own nationals named and shamed, but that ECOWAS must be alarmed that corruption at that level could undermine the integrity, vision, and efficiency of the Commission and the Union. In another related engagement, His Excellency President Dr. Julius Maada Bio shared his plans on human capital development with colleague heads of state and government of the Economic Community of West African States ECOWAS at this year's summit in Abuja. He disclosed that in Sierra Leone, his government has completed and launched a medium-term national development plan to align all governance imperatives with human capital development, adding that government has elevated investments in the 3 human capital development imperatives. Our country defines human capital development in terms of equal and free access to quality education that also involves skills training and innovation, he said. Our regional security, the president, who is also chairman, on regional security, the president, who is also chairman of the Committee of 10 Heads of State and Government on the reform of the United Nations Security Council, said his government would support efforts to consolidate peace and security in the sub-region, including closer military cooperation and collaboration, and urged for the adoption of a community approach to security. He also reminded the body of its planned ECOWAS logistic depot at Lunge and further urged the authority to accelerate equipment, mobilization, and deployment of personnel. Lunge, as we all know, is home to the only international airport that serves Sierra Leone in the northwestern province of the country, separated from the capital Freetown by a sea of about 10 nautical miles. On Monday, the 1st of July, His Excellency Dr. President Julius Maada Bio and President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of the Republic of Uganda have met to discuss ways to improve on the already great relations between the two countries. The two leaders talked on diverse bilateral issues directed at renewing and strengthening the relationship between the two countries in trade, investment, health, agriculture, agro-processing, extractives, peace and security, and education, among others. Signing memoranda of understanding to reaffirm the mutual commitment between the two countries, the meeting also officially agreed to waive visas for holders of service and diplomatic passports for both countries. The presidents, whose countries belong to the ACP, African, Caribbean, and Pacific Group of States, IMF, UN, and AU, further agreed to enhance political cooperation and consultation. Also on Tuesday, 2nd July 2019, His Excellency President Dr. Julius Maada Bio visited Uganda's major hub that supports agro-based small and medium-sized enterprises for a first-hand experience of how factories in Kapika and in Nakasika district promote commercial agriculture. The Rural Industrial Hub, 63 kilometers from the capital Kampala, is a joint private partnership venture and plays host to a 2.5 square mile industrial park, a logistic and e-voucher servicing center that provides genuine seeds, equipment, and fertilizer. On the 2nd of July, the government, through the Sierra Leone Roads Authority, has administered 3.7 billion leones as compensation payment to affected property landowners from Mayamba to Mamba Junction, where ongoing road construction is in progress. Also on the 2nd of July, Energy Minister Alhaji Kanjo Sisi has assured cross-section of delegates in all Transco CLSG member countries and partners of government's commitment to the Transco Electricity Interconnection Project at a 2-day annual donors coordination meeting on sustainable electricity provision held at the Radisson Blu Mamiyoko Hotel in Freetown. The government of Sierra Leone and the Kingdom of Belgium on Wednesday, 3rd July 2019 have signed an airport agreement aiming at strengthening and deepening the bilateral relations and to promote effective regulatory control of air transport services between the two countries. The Honorable Minister of Information and Communications, Mohamed Rahman Soare, on the 4th of July has applauded Statistics Sierra Leone for the multi-indicator cluster survey round 6 conducted and assured that the project has the full cooperation of his ministry and the government at large. The Information and Communications Minister was a keynote speaker at the Mary Kingsley Auditorium at FBC. He stated that President Bio's administration believes in demonstrating transparency and accountability to the citizens and that the right to access information and communication commission is a living testimony. Now to the business of the day. Based on recent work undertaken by the new Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD, an assessment was made on the potential contribution of one of the country's major natural resource sectors, fisheries, to future economic recovery. It was confirmed that the fish resource of Sierra Leone have an estimated capitalized economic value of $735 million and could potentially make an increased contribution to GDP under suitable conditions over and above the current estimated level of 10%. However, our results also show that with an overall readiness assessment score of 41 over 100, the sector is unlikely to realize its full potential unless a number of specific areas are addressed, based on analysis valid up to January 2016. These include an improvement in fisheries economic assessment, the upgrading of the fisheries governance and management framework, and the establishment of a fisheries development strategy and implementation plan to channel future investments and interventions in an appropriate sequence. Particular attention should be given early on to an increase in the quality and capacity of both public and private sector organizations relevant to roles and functions within a general process of fisheries sector reform. Recently, some members of the artisanal boat owners have raised concerns over the increase of their boat licenses. They claim that the increase is not in their best interest. Well, we've seen, followed reports on radio. We've had, a lot of people speaking to this particular issue. So today, with us here to give us more insight on the achievement of the ministry and also to speak to this issue, we have the Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, Madam Emma Jalloh, and his deputy and a team from the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources. Ladies and gentlemen, without much ado, I'd like to invite the Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, Madam Emma Jalloh, to tell us more about the achievements of his ministry and where we are with the situation that we all are so very interested in.
Thank you, Madam Minister. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Fourth Estate. I am here indeed with my team from the ministry, the director, my able deputy minister, the director, press from the communications officer, as well as the head of the artisanal unit, who is the acting director for that unit. We are here to clarify issues that have been recently on the news with the artisanal sector, that we've done increment in prices for the licensings of their canoes. I'll categorically say here that we have done no increment in any license at all. Currently, I'll read the license and explain why I have said that there is no increment. The license as they are for now is one. We've got the crew canoe, which is about 4 to 5 meters in length. That is licensed at the local council for 60,000 leones. We've got the standard 1 to 3 that carries 1 to 3 people, which is 5 to 6 meters in length. That is 250,000 leones at the local council. And we've got standard 3 to 5, which is 6 to 8 meters in length. That's 400,000 leones at the local council. We've got standard 5 to 10, which carries about 5 to 10 people, 8 to 10 meters in length, and that is 1 million leones. That's done by the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources. And then we've got the Ghana plank, which is about 12 to 18 meters in length, and that is 1,500,000 leones, done at the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources. So you'll find out that there's 2 categories really that I've named here that are done by the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources, but rather it should be 3 anyway. The foreign canoes that will come in, that's done by the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources, and that is licensed for $4,000. So standard 5 to 10, 8 to 10 meters long is 1 million leones. Ghana plank, 1,500,000. Foreign canoes, $4,000. We have devolved functions to the local council, and the 3 different canoes that I've called here are ones that are directly under the purview of the local council. The local council do register and give license to these canoes to operate in Sierra Leone. The fish in the water today is for every Sierra Leonean, but not every Sierra Leonean is a fisherman or a fisherwoman. So for only those who pay their license and express their interest in fishing and are fishermen and women are the ones that are utilizing these resources for and in behalf of all Sierra Leoneans. Before we started to do the collection of the license, we had a general meeting with the local government. Between myself and the minister, we did establish the functions of each ministry, what is devolved to the local government and what is meant to be carried out by the ministry. We had a memorandum that was printed out and was shared among the local councils. On the second path, a meeting was called by the local government minister in Bo, where all the local government in the coastal areas, their CAs, were all attending this meeting, and we were invited. The deputy director of Fisheries attended that meeting at the time to inform all of them about the progress that we're making so far into the interministerial relations. The other meeting that we decided to call was to call all the artisanal fishermen and discuss with them. We inherited a system wherein the implementation of revenue collection was very poor. And so there had been lapses. So I decided to organize this meeting. I had a meeting internally first within the ministry, and we decided as a ministry to call all the artisanal people and all the coastal area councils. We engaged them to say this is what is in the schedule. As it is in the schedule, the payment for certain canoes that I've already called, the fees are in dollars. And it was worrisome for them to be able to pay in dollars when we operate in Leone, in Sierra Leone. So I will just read an example of it. Category standard 5 to 10 canoe, which does the croakers. These croakers are mainly exported species. They export them. 12-month license fee in the schedule. This is what I inherited. We didn't change anything on it. It's $1,650. That's what they should have paid. Between me, my own conscience, they can afford to pay it because they export these fish and get value for their fish. They get money. They can afford a whole year to pay. But yet we called them as Sierra Leoneans to say, look, you are in Sierra Leone, we expect you to pay in leones. If we converted that into leones, it would have been well up to nearly 14 million or so. So we negotiated with them. They agreed to pay 1,500,000 leones for a year, which is slightly above 100,000 leones a month for their license. This included the master fishermen, the harbor masters, the consortium, because all the organizations that were representing the local artisanal people, we made them join together to form a consortium, which makes it easier for the ministry to be able to operate with them. Another type, I will give an example here, is the Ghana plank. The Ghana plank, the 12-month license fee that had been in the schedule all along is $1,000. Yet we asked them, we agreed with them to pay the 1,500,000. When they fish here on a daily basis, we have up to almost 12,000 canoes. Now, when they do the canoes, they don't come to us as fisheries to say, we've done a canoe, we've got a canoe, we're going to launch it in the sea today. Or neither to the local government. They go direct to the beaches. And so the people that will have direct information on that will be the harbor masters and the master fishermen. They launch their canoes and then they go. When we've done, through the help of World Bank, our survey, we've assessed that there's almost 12,000 canoes in this country. On a daily basis, they fish. They have the priority to fish in the exclusion zone, the inland exclusion zone, wherein no industrial fishing goes. They can go beyond that if their boats can allow them, but where the richness of the fish is, where they breed, they have access to it. And so on a daily basis, they do fish throughout the year. I'll explain one scenario why I think as Sierra Leoneans, we must think of our country first, how we as Sierra Leoneans can help to improve our country, how we can contribute to our country's revenue and our country's progress in years ahead of us. If, for example, a canoe is paying 1,500,000 for license here, they get their fish from here. They don't sell it here. They now find their exit route and then smuggle it to Guinea to sell. But before they enter Guinea, they must be licensed in Guinea. And their license in Guinea, as I know, is 7 million leones, which is way 3 or how many times more than what they are paying from where they are actually catching the fish. Yet they go and sell that fish to get more money. And they will pay that 7 million leones. So what is it to pay 1.5 million leones? You want fisheries to now put toilets on the beaches because there is no proper toilet sanitation. You want fisheries to put proper water system so that when you get the fish, they'll be washed down properly. You want fisheries to put platform. You want fisheries to go and help clean the beaches. It does come at a cost. Somebody has to pay for it. It is not a new license. This is a license that had been there. In fact, for us to encourage Sierra Leoneans to pay for the services that they're using, we had called them and engaged them and even reduced it so that we can encourage them. If we have industrial vessels, they are not even up to 80. So if you compare 12,000 to 80, who is doing the fishing here? The industrial fisheries, they got access, yes, to the furthest part of the sea. But the fact remains, our fishermen daily do fish. When we did the 1 month close season in April, our focus was on industrial fishing. They were here, harbored here in Freetown, everyone can see, for a whole month. But we let the artisanal go to fish because we said, you must bring in the fish that Sierra Leoneans must have daily that is fresh. Yes, the artisanal, we made them the whole month of March store fish in their cold rooms so that they will have iced fish. But for the fresh fish, we relied on the local artisanal people. So now, if we're looking at the scenario, the situation that we have, the fishing sector has got a lot of challenges that we inherited. And we cannot change it all overnight. It is gradual. But for the gradual that we're doing, for everything we consult those that matters, those that use it on a daily basis. When the close season ended, they were happy. The artisanal people. They said, Mama, thank you. When they go try far for go do fish, now they go quick, we come back until they go 210 per day. But what you know more ask, may you add, not to 1 month or maybe 2 months or 3 months. What happened during that month, I'll tell you. The revenue generation that fisheries used to get on a monthly basis dwindled that month. We could not pay much to finance, but we did that because we wanted to make sure that the management measures are put in place. We are able to properly manage the fishing sector and make sure that the fish do grow. We give space. This was the first in the history of Sierra Leone. Critics will have it to say, oh, it is not enough. Might not be enough. Rome was never built in a day. You have to start somewhere. And we started. By and large, it went by peacefully into now the May month where fasting started. And then we had to now make sure that there's fish on the market for the Ramadan month. Most of the protein that Sierra Leoneans get is from fish. I always say, even the local chicken that you breed in your backyard, when you ask for it today, they'll tell you 30,000 leones, 25,000 leones. But you can still take 10,000 leones to the market and get fish. Sierra Leone is still the cheapest in the sub-region for fish and fish produce. Our problem that we're having is huge, especially on the artisanal front, because most of these canoes now they sell to our neighboring countries, Liberia, Ghana, Guinea, Senegal, all the way even to Niger. And we lose revenue. If we're saying we're losing so much billion in fisheries, it is not just the IUU that poachers come and poach. It is the IUU that us Sierra Leoneans do to ourselves. Because when they catch, they have the porous borders. They have many routes. It's only this close season that had highlighted most of this. Because we had a task force, members from this ministry, we had the SLMA, we had the Navy, security apparatus, the Marine Police, fisheries officers, trade and monitors, so that we'll be able to collaborate and work together and stop them from illegally exporting, because we banned all export. There was no export that month. That's why the revenue went down. But during that time, we caught illegal vessels coming in from Senegal, from Guinea. We find them. And during that time, we were able to know some of the porous routes that our brothers take to export these things. Now, in fact, the Ghanaians come and then they buy from them, load it, and take it back to their country. It is a challenge for us. So if they're not paying the export, they're not paying the license, what gives them the right to fish in the waters? What gives them the priority to fish over any other Sierra Leonean that's in here today? The resources belong to all of us. But we must make sure to maintain those resources, we pay for them. They receive money when they go to sell it. And so we've engaged all of them. Thanks to the fisheries officers who are out there. They abuse them daily, they challenge them daily. And thanks to the head of the unit, he's constantly out trying to make sure he explains. We've gone to the communities, the director, the head of the unit, the officers, they've gone to the communities to explain to them before the collection of this. I myself have been on the air. So there is no license increment. In fact, it is a license deduction, because we reduced from what they would have paid in dollars, which is the actual schedule that is approved by government, that has been passed in Parliament. What we have reduced, we have not even taken to Parliament in the first place. We now have to continue to monitor, to make sure from all the different harbors, to make sure we know how many more new canoes are coming in. And really, we should now think of putting a quota on areas. Because otherwise, say by next year, if they make another 10,000 and put on the water, or maybe 2,000 and put, it goes to about 14,000, 15,000. Have we got any guarantee of the fish? And yet our neighboring countries are feasting on it. When they come and buy from our local fishermen and they take, we lose the name of Sierra Leone in that product. They take it to Senegal, they repack it, and then send it to Europe or anywhere else they are selling it to, as products, for example, of Senegal, products of Guinea, and not of Sierra Leone. So if we are bringing these changes now, it's because Sierra Leone deserves better. Sierra Leoneans deserve better. We expect, as Sierra Leoneans, we abide by our policies, our regulations, and our laws. The ministry is open to anybody who's aggrieved. We always listen and address issues. But we have to start somewhere. And of course, we have to now get traceability. We will come back to them so that all the fish that is leaving this country should be labeled, so people would know it's coming from Sierra Leone, it's a product of Sierra Leone. If you want to buy it now and go and label it elsewhere, that's your own problem. But let Sierra Leoneans know that we've got these resources and we will benefit from it. And another information sharing, we are going to be engaged in fish stock assessment. This is going to be done by the Chinese government. The agriculture minister of China did come. We did sign an MOU last year. So on Monday, the delegation of 4 men came from China. We have sat down and arranged, and a vessel that will be coming to monitor the amount of fish we've got in our waters, the species, if we have enough fish, if now we can be able to tag our fish to how many vessels we should have in the first place in the water. That will be done again after a long time, after years. because as Sierra Leoneans we cannot afford it now, but we did ask for that help. So they are willing to do it for us. They will be coming. The vessel will hopefully be here on the 9th of August. And they will be coming. It will be a 3-year program to assess. Our Sierra Leonean scientists and fisheries officers will be on board that vessel with them. And they will be doing the assessment on a yearly basis. So 3 months in the dries and 3 months in the rains for every year. That will be done. So that is one good news I would want to share with members here present today. Another good news, we are on the way as well. The Chinese are helping us to do the fish harbor at Black Johnson. So far we've acquired the land, the one that government will be able to give us, and the one that will be acquiring by private companies. That one as well has been done. We now will just arrange the payment of it, and then the land will be ours. That presentation I'm going to do in cabinet for the cabinet memorandum next week, and of course it will be a very good thing for our country. It will bring in the revenue. It will help us cut the IUU, the illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing, because olive tuna vessels currently, they don't come in here, they don't anchor into Sierra Leone because we don't have space for them to do so. But when we have a harbor, they will be doing that. They can now fuel, the vessels can now fuel at a harbor instead of at high seas. They can now do their dry docking, hopefully repairs in Sierra Leone, instead of going to our neighboring countries, Ghana, Senegal and the rest. So it will create a lot of job opportunities. We've engaged citizens and people, land-owning families in the area, and we had a big meeting with them. Our ministry and lands ministry did that together, and it was a fruitful one. They're looking forward to it. They're hoping it will create a lot of job for the area, which it will do, and of course eventually bring more revenue to the country. On another note, we've passed a lot of laws. We are working on the yellow card removal, and for now we are currently reviewing the regulations and the national plan of action, which is at the law officers department. Of course, we've passed 2 compliance acts, straddling fish stock, and of course the law on of the sea, UNCLOS. We've passed that in Parliament. And lately we were engaged with SLMA as well, because we've done deletion of all fishing vessels that were flying Sierra Leone flag on the high seas. That has been passed in cabinet, because as a country we are a flag state, but unfortunately when we give license and flag our fishing vessels and cargoes in the high seas, we definitely haven't got the monitoring capacity as a ministry. So we've decided to delete all fishing vessels carrying Sierra Leonean flags until we have the capacity to do so. There are many more things that have been happening in the ministry, but these are the main ones so far. Any other questions and things that you want to know, please do feel free to ask. Thank you very much.
As you don't listen to waiting the Deputy Minister of Information and Communication, Mamadi Gobe, don't give updates about government activities. And also you don't listen to the Minister of Fisheries, when Madam Emma Kowa Jalloh, as he said the rumor where they go on say they don't raise the license for fisheries business now the country. He said that not true, because instead of they increase prices on license, he say then reduce the price for license, and you don't listen to what he say as he give the different prices for the license. And also as he be talk and make measure of say we get about 12,000 canoes them where they na the sea where they fishing, and also make a challenges where he talk, but some of them canoes they are so no they come with the fish na the country, but they can decide for go with na the neighboring countries them for go do then sell. Me work out with this program today. Mina I start to smile say so this program get for me tonight again. Talk to the camera. I say tata.